President Obama making a big push for voting rights legislation. So joining me now, LaTosha Brown. She is the co-founder of Black Voters Matter. LaTosha, I'm so happy that you're here. And I know that it's very busy as you started off your campaign. We'll talk about that in a moment. But first, good evening to you. First, let me get your reaction to what we're hearing from the former president, Barack Obama, because you're one of the people on the battle lines fighting against these attempts to suppress the vote.
You know, I think he's absolutely right. I think that we all know that the Republicans are, the fact that they would even use the filibuster to stop debate really talks about that there's no interest in passing voting rights or even being supportive of voting rights. They've taken the role of just being obstructionists. That fundamentally, when you're talking about the principle of democracy, while they throw that word around, and they don't even do that very often, they don't fundamentally believe in the value and the principle of democracy. And so right now, I think the biggest fight that we've had in our lifetime is really now. Really is around who is going to have the courage to stand in the space and fight for democracy, expanding democracy in this country. And so I don't even think that this is an issue that should be a partisan issue. I think this is a people issue. This is really around, at certain times in I think our nation's history, that you set the course, you set the tone of what is the character of a nation, right? And are we still, here we are in 2021, 37 years past where there were 3 young men who were killed just for trying to register people to vote. Mm-hmm. But it's that same kind of energy that we see right now that the Republicans are literally holding up to really stop voter rights in this country and really lead in the voter suppression.
I'm glad you said that, because voting rights is not about ideology. It's not about left and right. This is a fundamental American right, the right to vote. There's nothing that's more patriotic and nothing that says America than giving everyone as much access, equal access to the voting box, and as much access as possible. I think it should be a national holiday so people could have the day off and be able to vote. But that's a whole nother show that we can talk about. But a little bit more about the former president. He talked about Republicans using the filibuster, LaTosha, to stop the voting rights legislation. What does it say to you that Republicans are using the filibuster, a Senate tool, quite frankly, with a racist history, to stop legislation that would protect voting rights for Black and brown communities?
It says that they are using the filibuster for the same reason that it was designed, and it was to stop progress in this country. That the filibuster actually was created to stop civil rights legislation, and here we are again in 2021 at the same place. The question is, are the Democrats going to end the filibuster so that we can move forward in this nation? Mm-hmm. Are we going to have the courage to do the right thing? Are we going to have the courage to make sure that we're supporting democracy? Are we going to show up for Black voters like Black voters showed up in this last election cycle? And so I think that we are on a critical moment. I do believe that this is a defining moment. This is a defining moment of what it is that we really believe and what do we stand for as a nation. Why are we even having a conversation around where we're literally engaged in, we need bipartisanship, when we know, when at the end of the day, any person of reasonable, has any integrity, right, knows what is happening, that this is quite frankly a party that has been corrupt, a party that is basing all of this on a big lie, that essentially it is a punitive measure to punish folks from participating in the political process. And so in a democracy, why would we not want to do everything in our power to make it stronger so people have equal access? But now we're obstruct.
Amen. Amen to you. How long were you on the bus for the 2020 election? How long were you out and about on the bus?
We were actually on a bus for 4 years.
All right, so listen.
On a bus for 4 years. We had a little break because of COVID, but then we jumped right in it back in June, and we've been nonstop. Since June of last year, once the world opened back up, we've been nonstop. Because listen, there are people who fought and died for the right to vote. We fundamentally believe in democracy. If I was at a polling site and there was Republican, that someone was trying to stop voting, or Democrat or Libertarian, I would fight as ferociously for them, because I believe that as a human being, that I should have agency, that I should be able to make impact and influence any decision that is going to be about me and my family. And I actually share that belief around every single human being, whether I agree with them or not.
Okay.
It's a value for me.
All right. I'm going to let you continue on here. Listen, I'm not cutting you off. But let me say, listen, you were in Atlanta tonight for Voting Rights, your bus tour. We remember the Fulton County absentee ballots being counted late into the night. There on camera, and all of those things that we saw, the efforts around suppressions. What is it going to take to stop all these endless audits, fraudits, the election fraud, to have a free and fair election? What is it going to take to do that? And I got to go because I got some breaking news, by the way. But go on.
Yeah, Don, it hasn't stopped. So I think what it's going to take, we need federal legislation. We need For the People Act and John Lewis Voter Advancement Act. There's no way around it. We're going to have federal legislation to actually protect the right to vote in this nation.
Listen, let me tell everyone, I'm just going to be transparent. LaTosha's all dressed up and she's looking amazing now. Not that she doesn't look amazing in a T-shirt, but she's out in a T-shirt and listen, her bus tour started already and she's out working for you. This is someone who's actually doing the work. LaTosha, I love having you on. I love what you're doing. It's so patriotic and it's so American. Thanks for standing up for all people, Republican and Democrats, and the right to vote. Okay? Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, Don.
Absolutely. So here's a